Welcome to a podcast by Kayleigh, the gateway to unlocking your unlimited potential. I'm creating an army of 6- and 7-figure makeup artists, and I want you to join me. In this podcast, I'm going to be crushing gatekeeping, opening the doors to the knowledge you need, and deep diving into the topics that can push us to the next level. Be prepared for epic guests and answers to the questions you have always wanted to know. No more small business, no more just a makeup artist. The beauty industry is a $250 billion industry, and you're in it. Let's get ready to open those gates. This is a podcast by Kayleigh. Hello everyone, and welcome back to this week's episode of a podcast by Kayleigh and the penultimate episode of our mini mentorship. I can't believe that we're actually here, and we've done this many episodes together. It's been honestly one of my most favorite things that I've done on this podcast, and I never thought it would be actually sitting down and recording solo episodes. So thank you so much. If you've listened to them all, just know that I'm so grateful for you just listening to what I have to say. Today we have a really exciting episode that I think you guys are going to love, and this is actually everybody's most valuable and favorite call. I mean, I know I say that every week, but everybody really likes this call, and it's actually quite new to the mentorship. I only introduced it maybe a season or two ago. I think I've only taught it twice, and it's the week 11 call, and it's all about how to get more inquiries and bookings. So this is the podcast episode where I talk to you all about how to make more money, how to get more bookings in your diary, how to get more deposits, how to get more inquiries, all of that good juicy stuff. And in this teaching call, I literally give lists upon lists of ways that my students can do this. So we're going to try and give you a little slice of that in the podcast today. We're going to be talking about how to get more inquiries, how to convert those inquiries into bookings. So it's going to be super valuable. So I would actually recommend sitting down with this one with a good cup of hot chocolate and a pen and paper. So the first thing that I want to talk about is what a lack of bookings normally looks like. So I often do power hours. I don't really do these too much anymore, but I used to do them. And it was when people just wanted a pair of eyes on their business, a fresh pair of eyes on it. And very, very often, 9 times out of 10, I would be booked on these power hour calls. These makeup artists would ask me, Kayleigh, I'm not getting very many bookings or inquiries. I'm not making enough money. Why do you think this is? So I developed a framework. I developed a 4-step framework that will normally 9 times out of 10 help me identify exactly why you're not getting the level of inquiries and bookings that you want to be getting. And I think it comes down to these 4 things, okay? Grab your notepads, grab your pens, and jot these 4 things down. If somebody comes to me and they are not getting enough inquiries or bookings, it is sometimes a lack of ideal client. Reason number 2, a lack of visibility. Reason number 3, a lack of marketing or selling themselves. Or reason number 4, and it is very rarely this reason, but reason number 4, it might be because they have outpriced themselves. So let's talk about these. Let's talk about these individually, because I guarantee in the pit of your stomach right now, if you are one of those who are listening and you're like, I don't get enough bookings or inquiries, I guarantee in the pit of your stomach, you know which one of these it is. Very, very often when people book onto these power hours with me, they often know the reason why they're not getting results. Very often we know it. We just want an expert to kind of tell us it. So lack of ideal client, what does this look like? Okay. If you think you're not getting bookings because you have a lack of ideal client, it's because quite simply you don't know your ideal client well enough and you're not talking their language. You're not speaking directly to them. What this looks like is you probably might look at your website, your Instagram, you might feel a little bit meh about it. You're easily forgettable. You're not memorable. I would say no matter what facet of makeup you do, whether it's editorial or bridal or fashion, but I would say this is more prevalent and more important if you're in bridal, because bridal is very connection focused. Saying that though, editorial and commercial, I would also say this very much applies to. You want to be memorable. You want your ideal client to go on your website, remember from website week, and connect with something. Okay? Otherwise, you are blending in to the sea of other makeup artists. And here's the thing, guys. Yes, we are in a saturated industry. Beauty is saturated. I'm here to tell you, you don't want to be in an unsaturated industry. Unsaturated industries do not have money in them, okay? Being in a saturated industry is a good thing. And if I ever hear anybody say to me, Kayleigh, the industry is so saturated, it's a good thing, okay? But it also does mean that you do need to stand out. There are lots of makeup artists who are probably looking at had the same ideal client as you. So that means you do need to connect with them. Take a step back and think of yourself as a consumer and imagine you're looking for, a hairstylist or a nail tech or even like a really cool restaurant to eat at, and you're doing a little bit of research. You probably pick the restaurant or the nail tech with something that you've connected to. It could be the work, but very, very often it's something personal, especially in bridal. 9 times out of 10, it's my dogs, or it's the fact that I have a very, very great sneaker collection and they're like a fashion girly as well. That's why it's so important to have a little bit of personality in your website to show the real you, because as I said in website week, it is not our work that distinguishes us, because generally everybody's work is very much the same. I encourage you, go and have a look at 10 makeup artists' websites and try and distinguish them beyond their work. Try and distinguish them based on their work alone. Makeup artists generally, especially in London, we're all of a very, very similar caliber. We're all kind of sitting at the same level of artistry, right? It is you that makes you different. It is you and your personality and your vibe and your interests that allows your ideal client to connect with you. Just like go back to website week and think of that commercial client, Bryony, and the reason that she booked me for thousands of pounds worth of jobs was because of my dog, because she liked sausage dogs, right? It made me different. And it made me memorable. If you're not getting the level of inquiries and bookings that you would like, I would really look at whether you think you're connecting with your ideal client. And this has to be a common thread through everything: your branding, your website, your Instagram. As I said in week 1, every decision in our business should be based on our who, on our dot, on our why, on our ideal client. Literally by Kayleigh, I'm taking this as a huge example. Everything that I do, these podcast episodes, this mentorship, everything that I create is for my ideal client. I'm addressing your pain points, your concerns. This podcast episode, getting more inquiries and converting more bookings, is because I know this is a huge pain point of yours and I'm here to address it, right? Therefore, I'm attracting and I'm bringing in those makeup artists that are looking for that help and support and that business guidance. It's the same thing with what you do. There has to be something that they can connect with or can see that you can help them solve. And if you can do both of those things, if you can help them solve something, hopefully be it a beautiful bridal makeup, taking the stress out of their big day, whilst being memorable about it, whilst allowing them to connect with something, whilst allowing them to get to know you and remember you, that is that one checked off. Okay, let's just say you're sitting there and you're like, Kayleigh, I have nailed my ideal client. Everything is for them. I've created a website for them, branding for them. I know I talk to them. I know they can connect with me because I've been told when they find me that they connect with me. Then I imagine number 2 is it's a lack of visibility. It means that even though you could be doing all the things right, you could have the best website in the world, the best Instagram, you could be the best makeup artist, you could be producing Mario levels of work, but if nobody can find you, that's your problem. Problem number 2 that I see a lot of is a lack of visibility. And this comes down to a couple of things. As I said in website week, SEO is so important. SEO stands for search engine optimization. It's where you rank on Google. And Google, yes, if you look at the data, Google is still the main search engine, especially for millennials. And guess who's getting married? Guess who's in those roles where you might be booking a makeup artist? Millennials, okay? They are still using Google and they're still using desktops to book their service providers. Therefore, our Google SEO is very, very important. 80% of people stay on page 1 and 2. If you're any lower than that, your visibility is extremely decreased. People are not going to venture onto page 10 or page 50 or page 90 for their makeup artist. They're going to go to maybe page 3 max, okay? So if you know I am full certainty connecting with my ideal client, your problem probably is visibility. You need to be making yourself more visible. You need to be putting yourself in front of their eyeballs. And the only way you do that is through working on your SEO. It's boring, guys, let me tell you, but I have an excellent training on it in the Level Up Club that I would really recommend you go and watch. It's fun. I use cute little spiders and, not not like horrible tarantulas or anything. They're cute. They're like kawaii spiders. I would recommend going and watching that as just like a starter. And then the second thing I would do is work on your Instagram SEO. This is also a huge thing. If a makeup artist comes to me and says, Kayleigh, I'm not booking, and I go on their Instagram and they have posted 8 months ago, that there is a reason why they're not booking. It's because you're not showing up on Instagram, which is essentially a giant search engine at this point. In the Level Up Club, again, I'm sorry I keep saying this, but there is so much gold in there. But if you go in the Level Up Club and you watch the MUA social schools, we go into Instagram SEO. We go into how to pop up when somebody types in London makeup artist, Florida makeup artist, Sussex makeup artist, whatever your keywords are. I literally show you how you can be popping up for them in the Level Up Club using keywords. Instagram and Adam Mosseri, they have all said that the SEO is a part of how you get discovered. So if you don't even have your location in your bio or in your header, or you're not even captioning your posts, that is a huge part of your visibility on Instagram, because essentially a little spider crawls your page and reads everything, and if they're not reading your keywords, you're not going to be popping up for those keywords. This one is a little bit technical, I won't lie. Visibility is a big pain point. It's a technical pain point, but I guarantee if you spend some time learning it, like I said, just give yourself the time, space and grace to learn SEO, the results are insane. The second I got to page 1, I never had a problem booking again, ever. That's how important this is, guys. Another huge part of visibility is actually being active on Instagram. Like I said, if you posted 8 months ago, you're not popping up on the Explore page. You're not going to be popping up when somebody types in London makeup artist into the search bar. You need to be consistently active. And I know it's a full-time job, trust me, as somebody who has multiple accounts, a glutton for punishment, if you will. I know it's hard. I'm speaking your language. But if you want results, if you want money, if you want spare income, if you want to make this a full-time job, we need to play that game. You need to understand the rules of business. And rule number 1 of business is you got to be active. You got to be visible. People need to be able to see your business. The saying, build it and they will come, is so incorrect, guys. I want you to actually really absorb this part. Just because you've built a business, just because you've built a website, you've built an Instagram page, doesn't mean they will come. Doesn't mean they will book you. You need to still work on it. The saying should be build it, market it, and then they will come. Marketing needs to be a huge part of what we do, which leads me to number 3. You might be hitting your ideal client. You might be visible. You might be page 1 on Google. You might be popping up on Instagram. You might be very consistent on Instagram. Then it might be number 3, which is a lack of selling. A lack of marketing, a lack of clever marketing, a lack of actually talking about your service. It is all well and good being a makeup artist, but if you're not actually talking about it, not actually, sharing what you do, if you don't have any marketing strategy, if you're not putting the odd ad out there, if you have no email list, your chances of booking are way less than the person who has nurtured an email list, who is doing the odd clever ad, who is really, really showing up with some kind of strategy behind them. So chances are, if you're hitting your ideal client and you're visible, chances are you're probably not going to have an issue with number 3 either. Number 3 kind of comes as a result of the other 2, but it might be that you know your ideal client, you know you're connecting with them, you are visible. You might be missing the missing piece, which is you just need to tighten the reins on your marketing a little bit. You need to be showing up a little bit more. You need to be a little bit more clever. You need to develop that know, like, and trust that I'm going to be talking about in a minute. You need to be actively selling. The problem with this one, and this is what a lot of makeup artists fall into, is they're not very comfortable talking about what it is that we do. They don't show up for themselves. They don't show up for their business. Just reading a book on marketing, doing a course on marketing, these will all help you develop just some of the key missing puzzle pieces that you might need to hit that last nail. Now, as I said, there is a 4th one here. If that person is hitting their ideal client, they're visible and they're selling their butt off, it might be number 4, which is they have outpriced themselves. And it is very rarely this one. It is very rarely this one. In fact, I have never seen it be this one. Because here's the thing, guys, and I'm going to sit down, I'm going to have a sip of my drink before I tell you this. You can charge whatever the heck you want. I'm going to say that right here. If you want to charge £1,000 for a bridal makeup, trust me, I've seen it. and I see that person in demand and I see people paying it. If you want to be flown halfway across the world for a destination wedding or a celebrity who's on tour and you want to charge the top end for that, trust me, I've seen it and I see it day in and day out. If you are living in a tiny village in Cornwall and you are a luxury price, I guarantee you can make a living in that tiny village in Cornwall on that luxury price. But here's the thing about luxury. You have to provide luxury if you are charging luxury. So if I have a makeup artist who is in this category, it is because they are not at that level yet to charge that. They don't have a luxury experience. They don't have a luxury website. They are not providing all of the components that make up a luxury business. It doesn't matter where you are. I promise you. I am sick of hearing this one. I can't charge that because I'm in a tiny village somewhere. It doesn't matter because I've seen a makeup artist in a tiny remote island who gets flown across the world for all her brides. If you have the luxury branding, aesthetic, service behind you, you can charge anything. And the data that you need to support this is take a look at the luxury market, because that is thriving right now in a recession. Hermes, thriving, selling 10k handbags. Right now in a global recession, if we're being honest about it, who are the people that have money? Rich people. Millionaires still have money. If the rich are still rich, that means there is still a luxury market. But, big but, and I'm going to do a whole podcast episode on this one day, you've got to be providing it. You can't be charging £1,000 for a bridal makeup if you are not giving that service. And that does mean, I know it some people don't want to hear this, but it does mean showing up a certain way, wearing certain clothes, having a certain aura about you. It does mean all those things to be in the luxury world. You don't go into Gucci and get served by someone in a tracksuit. You go into Gucci and you get served by someone who looks like they are wearing Gucci, right? So it's very rarely this one, but sometimes it is. And when you are thinking about entering the luxury market, when you're thinking about increasing your rates, you do need to think about what that next income level expects of you and whether you are providing that. You might not be there yet. You might need to tighten up all the little things, get a rebrand going, tighten up the website, tighten up your portfolio, and then charge that rate. But this is a whole podcast episode in itself. The main thing that I want you guys to take away is it's very rarely that one. But if you're charging top level and you're not hitting it yet yourself, then you might need to come back down and hit it when you're ready. So those are the 4 reasons that I commonly see a lack of bookings come down to. There are obviously other reasons as well, but these are the 4 main ones. So if you feel like that you're getting not as many bookings as you would like, take a little look at those 4 and see if you fall into maybe 1 or 2 of them. It might be that you fall into all 4 of them, but hit them off one by one, and I guarantee your business will look so different a year from now if you're able to hit all 4 of them. I think one thing that served me very, very well over my career is I am very scrappy. And what I mean by that is when things are quiet, I never let them stay quiet. I'm not afraid to knock on doors. And I think this has really, really served me so well. And I think I've spoken about it a few times on the podcast, but I want you to write this down if you can. And if you can't, I want you to hear what I'm about to say, pause it and repeat it to yourself over and over for a couple of minutes. The power of booking lies with you. If you don't have any bookings, that power lies with you. And I remember when I teach this in the mentorship, everybody's heads go, what are you talking about? If you don't have any bookings right now, it is down to you. And that can be a hard pill to swallow sometimes. You can, and you have the full ability and power to go out and get them. So me and Lauren, we work on Rebrand, which is my makeup artist agency. And it's a new brand. It's a new baby. This business is literally less than a year old. We are starting from a place of absolutely zero, to be honest with you. So a big part of what we do is making ourselves visible and networking, getting in the circles that can get us the result that we want. And it's the same thing as a makeup artist. When I had no bookings, I went to the people that could get me bookings. So in the wedding world, this was wedding planners, this was wedding venues. In the commercial world, this was directors, producers, production assistants, production companies. I went where I could get bookings, or with people, circles, networks that could help me get bookings. I also put myself in front of brides. I did wedding fairs. They didn't really work out necessarily so well for me, but my friend Storm had an excellent result at a wedding fair not too long ago. So, different experiences for different people. But I went where the brides were. Where are brides? Well, they're at wedding fairs. Where are brides also? Well, on Instagram, the very, very first thing that gets booked is photographers and venues. So that's where I went. What do brides very, very commonly get before makeup? Their dress. So this is where you start. You start to think about, where can I go where my ideal client also is? And this isn't literal. This isn't like the coffee shop. I don't want you going into coffee shops and striking up conversations if you don't want to. But utilising, Kelsey Bain said this on the podcast as well, but really, really being proud and talking about what we do can open up a lot of doors. And it is such a detriment if you sit back and wait for the bookings to come to you. It really, really is. You are putting the power in other people's hands if you do that. You are waiting on referrals. You are waiting to be booked. But the clever makeup artist doesn't wait. The clever makeup artist goes out there and gets them bookings and puts themselves in the places where they can get them bookings. The power lies with you guys, and when you make that mindset shift, watch what happens. I am excited for the people who are listening to this and getting chills, because I know this is going to resonate with some of you. So for me, back in the day when I didn't have many bookings, I actually made outreach and pitching an entire day of my week. I would do it every Thursday. I would send pitches. I would write to people. I would try and get meetings with people. In business, you have to be scrappy. And if you listen to any top 1% person talk, they did not get where they are by not fighting tooth and nail for it. That might sound a little bit exhausting. You might be here, it's like, Kayleigh, I don't know if I want to do this. But then you don't want it enough. And I said what I said. If you're not willing to go out there and grab it with both hands, someone else will. Someone else who wants it more than you will. You need to have that drive, that hunger. And every single mentorship season, there are one or two people in that mentorship who have the hunger. They are freaking hungry. And those are the ones that I know are going to blow up. There's normally only one or two a season, but the ones that are hungry, they're ferocious. They won't stop. They are relentless in the pursuit of their dreams and their goals. Not everybody is like that. And here's the thing, I don't want you guys to be putting pressure on yourselves to be like that. If you are in this career to just have a good time, enjoy what you do, not all of us want to be the best, and that's okay. But the ones who are hungry, I'm talking to you, this is for you. You need to be going out there and grabbing it. You need to be going out there and putting yourself in the room with the people that can help you get it. A great example of this, there's so many great examples. I always use the Walt Disney example. Amelia de Moldenberg, I think her name is. She is the chicken shop girl. She's very, very famous for her YouTube series where she interviews now celebrities, but back in the day it was kind of London grime and hip hop artists. And she would interview, she'd go on like a fake date with them. And it's a great series. And she's got some huge names on it. She had like Jack Harlow on it. She's had so many celebrities on it. She's interviewed Andrew Garfield on the red carpet. And she did a podcast, and I'll try and link it in the show notes if I can find it. She did a podcast where somebody asked, like, Amelia, how have you gone from tiny YouTube channel to at the Oscars red carpet and doing brand deals with Olay? Like, how did this happen? And she credits her grit and her persistence and her perseverance for her blow up. She said it's not come from, 1 year. If you go back and look, her YouTube channel is almost a decade old, but she never gave up. She actually tells the story of when she was in uni, and she said she made the chicken shop, and it was an idea for like her dissertation or like a uni project. And she went to her teacher, and her teacher said, Amelia, this is embarrassing. This is an awful idea. Nothing is ever going to come of this. But this is now a girl who persisted and trusted her idea so much. She backed herself so much that she now is interviewing celebrities, going on every major red carpet out there. I guarantee you've seen her interviews. I guarantee if you don't know who I'm talking about, I really recommend going and watching some of her things. She said to get those celebrities, she would stand outside clubs. She would email and persistently email PRs and publicists and managers and agents. She made herself so annoying to them. She went to where the celebrities were, DM'd them, she tweeted them, she did everything she could to get them on. That was a hungry woman, and that is the hunger that has got her to where she is. If you are one of those people that wants to be the best, that wants to be the next level, that wants to be earning the big bucks, and you have dreams that are bigger than you, that is what you need to be. You need to be persistent, relentless, annoying. But understand, waiting for opportunities, you're going to be waiting a long ass time. after that little rant, I would like to talk a little bit about converting those inquiries. A lot of you guys have spoke to me, especially this year, about ghosting. Put a little metaphorical hand up if you've been ghosted. I know this is certainly a problem for me a few years ago, is I would have a lot of inquiries and I'd be so excited, like, oh my God, look, I've had 20 inquiries, but like 2 would book me and the rest would ghost. If a customer still needs warming up, if you are getting ghosted, you have not developed your know, like, and trust enough. That customer still needs warming up if they have ghosted you. Because here's the thing, if a customer has ghosted you, they have not felt that connection to book. They have not felt that strong pull, that connection to book, and that's not been strong enough. Because a customer, a client who wants you, will book you ASAP. It's going to be a priority. You want to be a priority. To be a priority, you need to develop that know, that like, and that trust. And this is something that I spoke about a little bit. Know, like, and trust is one of kind of these fundamentals that get thrown around a lot on Instagram. You've probably heard of it, but they say a customer who is fully warmed up to you, a customer that is ready to put that deposit down on the table, ready to book you, ready to secure their spot, they guarantee that they know you because they like you and because they trust you. And this is something that I ask in my mentorship program. I ask them in the call to put in the chat, guys, when you booked onto this mentorship program, why did you do it? And most of them put, it's because they liked me. It's because they resonated with some part of me. It's because they enjoyed the way that I showed up. They liked my personality. They thought I was relatable. They felt like they knew me. They liked me. And there was a trust element in there that I've built up through all my free content, through these podcasts, through the value that I give. The value builds the trust. I build the know and the like. And this is why I always say, guys, I know I feel like a broken record saying this right now, but that's why it's so important that you inject you into your business, because that's how you build the know and the like. A customer who feels like they know you, who likes you, who actively likes you and would like to be your friend and trusts you, is more guaranteed to put that deposit down. You're way more likely to be a priority to them. There is going to be that pull to book you if you have developed those 3 things. If a customer still needs warming up, if they are ghosting you, if they are asking you a few too many questions, if you just know they're still kind of shopping around out there, those are the 3 things you need to work on. That said, though, it is not impossible to warm up a cold lead. Let's just say you've received an inquiry and that lead, you know, that you can sense that they ain't fully invested. There's a 4-day, email in between time. They're not getting back to you as quickly as you'd like. You can feel there's not that pull. It's not impossible to convert those customers. They're cold, but they can still be warmed up. And there's a few ways that you can do that. We go into so much depth in this on the week 11 call. But here are kind of my 3 things, my 3 ways that you would warm up a colder inquiry that's come into your inbox. The first thing I would say when it comes to converting is not being afraid of following up. This is huge, by the way. I want to tell a tiny story about this, actually, when it comes to following up. I get deep tissue massages maybe once or twice a month. I have a lovely masseuse. Her name is Heidi. Shout out, Heidi, if you're listening. She did say she was going to listen to the podcast, and now I'm embarrassed. Hi, Heidi. Heidi's fabulous. And I remember one time in particular, I think I was in a rush at the desk. I didn't book in my appointment. Normally I book it in there and then just to get it done. And for some reason, I just didn't do it. And then Heidi actually emailed me and said, would you like to book in your follow-up appointment? And at this point in my business, I was so busy. I think I was midway through teaching the mentorship. And when you receive an email and you just reply in your mind, it just got so far down my inbox that I didn't reply. And Heidi actually sent a follow-up. I think a week later, Heidi sent a follow-up. She said, "Hi, Kayleigh, just checking in. Do you want to rebook?" And I was like, thank God she sent that email. Because yes, I want to book. This is a priority to me. This is something that I actively want to do. I feel so good after those massages. Heidi following up with me was a service. She was doing me a favor. And that is something that's very, very common about following up. A lot of us can get in our heads. We think following up is pestering. It makes us look desperate. I want us to put that to bed today, okay? We are not the main character of our customer's life. They're the main character, right? And especially when you're dealing with brides in the bridal industry, they are planning a wedding and most of them are working full-time. Some of them are working full-time and have children. Sometimes they just forget. Sometimes they don't see your email. Sometimes they respond in their head. Sometimes they say they're going to respond later and it gets pushed down and down and down the pile. Sometimes it gets accidentally deleted. Sometimes it goes to spam. We, as the main character of our lives, we sometimes think, oh, it's because they don't want to book, or it's they don't like us, or they found someone else. More often than not, it's something else entirely. Because in my case, it wasn't that I didn't want to go back to Heidi. It was just because I was so busy. But imagine if Heidi hadn't followed up. And then imagine if I got so in my head on the other side, like, oh my God, I can't possibly book now because it's been too long. I would have had to find a new masseuse. Following up can be a service. And here's the thing, following up won't work all the time because sometimes, yeah, they do find another makeup artist. We can get so in our heads and so negative that the reason they didn't respond is something to do with us, when sometimes it's not. And we could let that client slip through our fingers because we just forgot to do a simple follow-up. So for me, with my brides, when I was doing bridal, I would follow up 3 times. My first follow-up would be a friendly, hey, you getting stuck with anything? My second follow-up would just be a little bit more, not aggressive, but it would just be a little bit more direct, like, hey, like, do you need any help with anything? Let me know. Like, and then my third follow-up was kind of like a goodbye, kind of like a, I hope you found your soulmate makeup artist. I'm still going to be here if you need anything. If anything changes, I'm going to remove you from my system now. When I implemented a follow-up, I converted 20% more inquiries to bookings. 20% might not be a huge figure. I'm not talking 80% here, but 20% more is still quite a lot. It could be something like 8, 10, 20 more bookings a year, depending on how many you take, from a simple follow-up, a simple reminder. I encourage you right now, don't get in your head about following up. Try to reframe it as a service. Heidi was doing me a service by following up with me twice, okay? Come at it with the fact that it is a service and you're not the main character. It's not all about us sometimes. Sometimes that person has so many things going on in their life and we just need to maybe be open to that a little bit more. Number 2, for just a little handy tip for converting, is email marketing. Oh my God, is the beauty industry absolutely sleeping on email marketing, to the point where I might even make an email marketing course, because I feel like it is just something that is so underutilized in the beauty industry, particularly if you do nails, massages, if you do anything that's a recurring beauty treatment. Makeup, perhaps not so much, but I still think makeup artists can use it. But if you do a recurring service where people book in with you monthly, you should absolutely be utilizing email marketing. Some of the guests that I've had on the shows that have utilized email marketing, Marissa Grace Artistry, she came in the Level Up Club and she actually blew our minds when she spoke about puts her brides on a wait list. And when they're on that wait list, she cleverly uses, it's kind of like a funnel, she cleverly nurtures them for maybe like a few months until she opens up her books. And she will send them, I mean, I'm not on that list, but I'm going to assume here, she would send them, nurturing content that develops that know, that like, and that trust. So if you perhaps are a little bit afraid to open up your books for 2025 or 2026, which I get, I absolutely am on that train as well, perhaps consider adding them to an email marketing funnel. Pop them in an email list and just once a month, send a really freaking good email. Send, a nail salon near me. I mean, I didn't really like their nails, but they sent some excellent emails. And I think they sent them fortnightly, and it would be like nail design of the week, dog of the week, because they would let dogs into their salon. It would be links to blog posts about nail care. It would be, fun content that never felt like a sell. And I still to this day read that email, even though I don't go to their salon, because I think it's such a good, fun email. Now imagine if you were doing that for your wait list of brides. Imagine you have like 25 brides on your wait list. And this is something Marissa Gray spoke about. She gets them all on a wait list. She nurtures that wait list through email marketing. And then the second she opens up her list, which I think would be like the 1st of January, I think she said, instantly they book. Instantly. I think she said she gets like 12 bookings in the first 5 minutes or something crazy like that. Why? Because she has spent months nurturing them, developing the know, the like, and the trust. I think that was brilliant. It really made me think, gosh, I wish I had done that when I was doing bridal. But it's the same thing with me in this community. I send out weekly emails. It's called my By Kayleigh Roundup. And I treat it as kind of like an online diary where I talk to you about, the behind the scenes of my business, things that I'm thinking about that week, what I'm enjoying, what I'm eating, what I'm wearing, all of this kind of thing. Because there's going to be some people who are on that list that haven't bought anything from me necessarily. But when the time comes where they might be ready to invest in a membership or a planner, who are they going to think of? They're going to think of the person who has nurtured them for 8 months. So I think wait lists and email marketing are so underutilized. We should all be looking at this as part of our marketing strategy. If you need any help with this, by the way, obviously I don't have any resources on this yet, but the podcast with Iman was amazing. Iman was one of the guests that came on, and I remember listening to her talk on this podcast and being like, oh my gosh, I want you to mentor me. She was one of those guests where I actively thought, yes, I want to be mentored by you. She's so knowledgeable. There are loads of other ways that you can convert colder inquiries. The next one that I'm going to speak about is the one that had the biggest success for me. And this was, I spoke to you about it earlier on. I had a 20% conversion rate. I think it was around 2017 that I had this. And this one change that I implemented took me up to 80 off the bat, straight away. And that was developing a bridal brochure. This is a PDF document, which is kind of like a condensed but more nurturing version of my website. And it's sent out to them along with my autoresponder. So as soon as they fill in the bridal inquiry form, an autoresponder will thank them and say, I'll be in touch within 48 hours. And attached to that will be my bridal brochure. In my bridal brochure, I answer their frequently asked questions. I give them a little bit more detail about the service, such as trials and things like that. I give them a few sneaky tips and hints and just all of the additional things that could help nurture them. Now, let's just say that bride who has inquired has also inquired with 4 other artists, and you were the only one that sent back a bridal brochure. And that bridal brochure was beautiful. It felt like a magazine. It makes you instantly more memorable. It gives you the edge among all the other artists that might not even have an autoresponder. It can add a little bit more personality to your brand. It can develop that know, that like, and that trust with just a simple 8 to 10 page PDF. I also use this PDF to set a few boundaries. So, in the FAQ section, I'll set some boundaries such as, where are your trials conducted? I conduct my trials from home at my home studio in blah, blah, blah. These help affirm some of the things that you might have to affirm via email, and that just gets knocked on the head in that brochure. There are tons of brochure templates on Canva. I also have some in the Level Up Club as well. I would really, really recommend adding this step, especially if you find that your conversion rate is not very high right now. And I want to kind of end this episode with the fact that your conversion rate is an extremely important piece of data that you should know about. Knowing my conversion rate was 20% allowed me to see the plot holes that were in my business. It allowed me to know exactly where my customers were dropping off, which was the inquiry stage. Knowing your conversion rate can help you with so many things. It can help you establish that you might be missing a key piece of the jigsaw puzzle here. Mine was the PDF. Right? Yours could be the follow-up. Yours could be, it will just help you understand the customer journey a little bit more. But also it can help you understand perhaps your forecasting. So for example, if your conversion rate is like 100%, like 80 to 100%, you convert every single person that inquires. If your conversion rate is 100%, if you make maybe a little change to your business and your conversion rate goes down, you can kind of assess what changes are having what impacts. So let's just say you raise your rates. First of all, if you have a really high conversion rate, you have a lot of flexibility with raising your rates. So let's just say you raise your rates and your conversion rate goes down to like 60%. You can kind of start to see what changes are affecting your business. It can also help you kind of forecast or make big business decisions. If your conversion rate is at like 20% or lower, you're not converting those inquiries into paid bookings. You probably know that you shouldn't maybe quit your full-time job right now. You kind of can see, okay, I need to work on my conversion before I do X, Y, and Z investment. So definitely sit down and work out your conversion rate, because it also is just good to know, like if you're not converting those inquiries, imagine if you converted all of them, you would have a fully booked bridal season. Right? If it comes to the commercial world, and by the way, in the commercial world, I still follow up 3 times. That's not applicable to just bridal. I would say it's more applicable to commercial because they sometimes need that little nudge to get the wheels moving and turning, As I said, in the mentorship, we go into so much. I literally give lists upon lists of ways that you could further convert further. You could further get more inquiries, like loads and loads and loads. So this is a really, really useful, actionable week that everybody really enjoys. By the way, if you've been on my mentorship before and you haven't watched this module, it is in your mentorship vault. So you can just log in and watch this module. The recording is up. Every so often I do change up the modules in the mentorship. So it is always worth just checking in and seeing if there's any new ones. Okay, guys, this was our last big official teaching podcast, which makes me feel a little bit sad, to be honest, because I've so enjoyed this series. We do have one more. In the next episode, I'm going to be talking about how to further your education. I'm going to be getting really real about kind of what I see as a little bit of like a marketing epidemic right now, and the oversaturation of coaches in the industry, and just some things that you should look out for if you're choosing like an education service provider, or just ways that you can further your education following on from this podcast for free or for paid. Just some recommendations on my behalf. I'm really, really looking forward to recording that one for you guys, but I hope you've enjoyed this series. Please do let me know, and please don't turn off just yet. But if you do want to help support the podcast in a completely free way, you could leave me a review. I would really, really appreciate it. It's on Apple Podcasts. If you do listen on Apple, I would love to hear just a review. A written one would be so useful. The last time I actually posted this on my story, I had a couple of people vote me like 1 star, which was super sad to see, because obviously they weren't listeners of the show. They were just like pure haters. So if anybody wants to help drown out those 1 stars, I mean, they could have been genuine, but I feel like genuine feedback would be like, hey, her edit is not very good, or like her intro is a little bit aggressive. Like that would have been valuable feedback, not just a 1 star. But anyway, if you would like to help support the show, I would love to hear a written review on Apple Podcasts. If you are a Spotify listener, you can leave me a star review as well. Both of those do really, really help. They just help me get in the charts, and help Spotify and Apple take a little bit more notice of my little podcast. Anyway, I will see you back here next week for the very, very last one. And then we have an amazing, amazing interview with Shannon Ranger coming up, who is just incredible. We'll be back to interviews then, guys. I will see you next week. I hope you've enjoyed. Bye, guys. You have been listening to a podcast by Kayleigh. Thank you so much for tuning in today and being on this mission with me to self-improvement and taking steps towards financial empowerment. If you liked what you heard today, be sure to follow me on the gram @ByKayleigh where I post pretty much daily. I would also love to hear your thoughts, feedback, and energy. So please do leave me a review on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you are listening today. In the meantime, I want you to go forward, believe in yourselves, and be the change you want to see. Bye, guys.